Hello, welcome to another week in fragrance. Part of my week was wearing a fragrance for the first time and getting a huge compliment. So stay tuned if you want to know what that is. In this weekly roundup, I'm going to tell you about my week in fragrance, new fragrances that I've got in, events that I've been to, and of course the fragrance that gave me that big compliment. Two new fragrances in for me this week are from the House of Sillage. They sent me Superman and Dignified. Interestingly, I think Dignified is their first ever men's fragrance and Superman is their latest men's fragrance. So we've got first and last. And there's actually a decade separating these two fragrances. So let me tell you what they smell like. Dignified is warm and spicy. There's vetiver, saffron, oud, and clove. I love the House of Sillage presentation and so glad to get my hands on Dignified. I've heard a lot about this over the years. I fell in love with, almost a decade ago actually, their #1 fragrance, which is a gorgeous sweet gourmand scent. I'll tell you more about that one in a second. But this one, I've been wearing it a couple of times this week and the name is perfect. It is a very dignified, gentlemanly fragrance. Very refined, very sophisticated. The thing that House of Sillage do is create fragrances that have a complexity, that have character and are very distinctive, but they're so easy to wear. I wore this yesterday on a trip down to London. I wanted something impactful, but I was also sitting on a train for 2 hours, so I wanted something that wasn't too overbearing, that wasn't too shouty, too obnoxious. So I thought this was perfect, and I loved wearing this yesterday. It's a bit of a mix of warm spicy and fresh spicy at the same time. It just pops off the skin. Beautiful projection. I have read that some people think it's similar to NOIR Extreme, of course, very popular fragrance, pretty cheap fragrance. This one's much more expensive than that, but I do think you can tell the difference. I think this is in a similar category to that one, but this, for me, is more impactful and has better performance. The other fragrance that flew into my mailbox this week was Superman. I saw this was released last year. It's to coincide with the Superman movie because House of Sillage do Warner Brothers tie-ins. I'd heard great things about this, eager to get my nose on it, and I've been giving this a bit of a wear in this week. I'm not disappointed. Definitely not disappointed with that bottle. How nice is that? Superman has notes of grapefruit, cassis, basil, pear, apple, rose, cinnamon, cardamom, lavender, sandalwood, oak moss, and vanilla. Interestingly, this is not a million miles away from the Jean Paul Gaultier La Malle Eau Fraiche, the one that had Popeye on the bottle, that had Andre the Sailor, but also had Superman on the bottle, and the version I have has Superman on it. And this doesn't have any mint listed, that fragrance does, but I do get a mintiness from this fragrance. It's beautiful. Now, it doesn't smell exactly the same as La Malle Eau Fraiche, but it's in that ballpark. It's that sort of fresh fragrance that is versatile enough to wear all year round. It's got a bit of sweetness, it's fun, it's lively, it's invigorating, it's uplifting. The thing about La Malle Eau Fraiche is, as beautiful as it is, it's no longer available, it's discontinued. So if you want something that smells similar to that, not the same, but pretty similar, and I'd say, again, with better performance, then Superman from House of Sillage is, at the moment, as far as I know, probably your best option. Fruity, fresh, invigorating, lively, but it's got a lovely gentlemanly streak running through it as well. Probably down to the lavender and oak moss. They are two notes that are often used in classic men's cologne, classic men's perfumery. So it just nods just a little bit to lavender, oak moss, gentleman's classics, but it definitely does smell way more modern than classic. Just a little bit of classic thrown in there, but really enjoyable. Whilst we're talking about House of Sillage, I was going to tell you about #1. I took that out on the streets for a date night fragrance street battle. I got the public to smell #1 and the Contemporary. I pulled those two as the two fragrances from House of Sillage's lineup that I thought were great date night fragrances. My choice for a date night of those two is #1, but I wanted to go out onto the streets to find out if the public agreed with me. So that is a video coming in the next few days, so keep a lookout for that one if you're interested in street battles. And talking about street battles, not only do we have Superman from House of Sillage, but we also have Batman. Is that not just crying out for a Batman versus Superman street battle? Is that something you want to see? Do you want me to go out and film that? Let me know in the comments. All right, I won't keep you in suspense any longer. Let me tell you about the fragrance that got me a huge compliment on its first wearing this week. If you watched last week's weekly roundup video, you'll know that I went to the Nishani boutique, and of all their fragrances, they asked me to choose one and they would give me a little 15 ml bottle. So I chose Fan Your Flames X. I wore this for the first time over the weekend. I'd been wearing it for a couple of hours, absolutely loving the experience, getting beautiful wafts of the scent. And then I saw a friend of mine and they said they absolutely loved it, asked me what I was wearing. I'm not actually surprised because it is definitely a compliment worthy scent, and I think even more so than the original Fan Your Flames. That's a little darker, a little earthier, a little more complex, so people who aren't into fragrances might not quite enjoy that one as much. But this one, it's a little brighter, greener, fruitier, easier to wear, more versatile, and I think more compliment getting. This little fella got me a big compliment on the first wearing, so of course it's going to be getting many, many more wearings. Another fragrance new in, actually, I picked this up yesterday. I mentioned I went to an event in London. The event was for Electimuss, and it was to celebrate the launch of their new fragrance, Reverie Haze. It was a fantastic event. It was held in Javoy in the downstairs section. There were drinks, there were nibbles, there were people. Great networking opportunity, great to connect with the brand, and great to smell their new fragrance. I'd say the best thing about this event was not the bottle that I was gifted, but the presence of the perfumer of this fragrance, Mark Daniel Heimgartner. It's always great to hear directly from the perfumer, and I always love it when a perfumer is there. They're so passionate, they're so pleased with the end result of their creation that they want to do a bit of PR. They want to visit these places and tell people about it. So what we got was Mark Daniel breaking down, deconstructing the fragrance down to all its separate notes and accords, and I think we smelled maybe about 10 separate accords. We were building the fragrance as we went along, so by the end of smelling each note, we could waft them all and get the full fragrance. But it was great to experience the fragrance being built bit by bit by bit, and then smelling the final scent. Gorgeous presentation. Loads of notes in this, trust me, I smelled them all. We've got tuberose, cypriol, rose, there's green notes, some tropical fruits, some oud, patchouli, saffron, cashmere, some white florals, bit of spicy ginger, some leather, vanilla, and musks. It has this really sweet, narcotic element. If you've ever smelled Byron Parfums, the Chronic, it's got that sweet, very addictive, narcotic quality to it. This has a similar thing. It doesn't smell exactly the same as the Chronic, obviously very different in fact, but it's got that sweet, narcotic, addictive quality. This is fruitier than the Chronic. Oh, honestly, that is so good. It is sweet, it is fruity, it's got some florals, it's got the tropical fruits, but what stops this from being too fruity sweet and maybe lean into the feminine is the backbone that this fragrance has. And I think the notes are giving it this real structure, this real backbone, and a good deal of attitude, which you always like in a fragrance, is the oud and the leather. They're very present, they're running through the middle of the fragrance, they're anchoring everything. It is the sort of fragrance that is highly likely to get you some compliments if that's your thing, because it's projecting and it's really strong, really long lasting. It's very complex, but also smoothly blended. So you can tell there's a lot gone into this, but it's not too busy. There's not too much going on. It's not too complicated. It's really easy to like. So people who aren't even into fragrances will really like this smell. People who are into fragrances will also obviously really like it, but appreciate how this fragrance is built and how it's structured, because it is a beautiful composition. Listen, I know I was at the event and I know they gifted me a bottle, but please go and smell it. This will be in various stores, definitely in Javoy, which is where the event was in London. I'm not saying just do a blind buy, but seriously, please, on my recommendation, go and smell it. Maybe it's not your thing, but if you think from the way I've described it that it might be your thing, please definitely go and smell it, because this, for me, is a banger. Just a quick bit of exciting news before we move on to the questions you've left for me. New release incoming from Marc-Antoine Valois. The brand have teased this fragrance that it's landing soon, it's imminent. There are a few things that I think about this fragrance, but I'm not 100% sure. So let me tell you what I've heard and why I'm excited about this scent. The first thing I've heard about this fragrance, I'm pretty sure this one is a definite, it's going to be a Harrods exclusive. The second thing that I'm making a little assumption about here is that Quentin Biche is the perfumer, because he's created all the other Marc-Antoine Valois fragrances, so I don't see why they would deviate from that at this point. So highly, highly likely that this is another Quentin Biche scent and probably going to be another Biche banger. Some of the notes that I just saw on some Instagram comments, the brand didn't deny it when the person left the comment saying these notes. I'm not sure how this person does know that these notes are in the fragrance, but if they are, another reason why I'm really excited, because they are pink pepper, orris, saffron, leather, and tobacco. Leather, tobacco, bit of iris, saffron, pink pepper, punchy, projecting opening. This sounds like a fragrance that is going to be right up my street. A Quentin Biche tobacco leather fragrance. Sign me up, I'm in, let's go. Can't wait to smell this as soon as it's released in Harrods. As soon as I can get down there, I'm getting in there and I am smelling this one, and I will let you know what I think. Are you excited about this new fragrance? Let me know. Let's finish the video with a few questions. There are a few more this week, so thanks for dropping your questions. Don't forget, if you've got anything that you'd like to ask me, drop those in the comments of this video and I'll do my best to answer those in next week's video. Sack7523 says, can we expect an Aaron Terence Hughes Smolder 2 this year? Possibly. There's nothing set in stone. I know Aaron is very busy. For the last 2 or 3 years, we've been talking about doing a Smolder 2. We even had some submissions, but then, you know, things happen in Aaron's life and with business, so it hasn't yet materialized, but we are still hoping to do it. I can't guarantee it's going to be this year. If it is, trust me, you guys will be the first to know. If there is a Smolder 2 incoming, I'll let you know. Really interesting question from Mark Berry here, and he's asking, what are my thoughts on the longevity of an open fragrance? I know they last much longer than the manufacturer's state if kept out of sunlight, heat and humidity, but what are your oldest fragrances and have you had any go bad? The oldest fragrance that I have in my collection is probably from maybe 10, 12 years ago, and it's Tom Ford Noir. In fact, let me smell it and see if it's gone bad. Okay, here it is, a little bit of dust on the cap there. I've not worn this for a long time because I do love it, and I've got a little drop left. I'm just hanging on to it, I'm just saving. This is probably the oldest I have of all of them, so let's just give this a little spray and find out. Oh no, even less left now. I'll just have to buy another bottle. Smells exactly how I remember. It's, oh God, actually it's really good. I might have to get another bottle of this. You know what? I think I prefer this to Noir Extreme, actually. It's just a bit more impactful. Anyway, unless I compare it side by side with the current version of this fragrance, I can't really tell if the top notes have gone. That's the first thing to go. If a note has some very volatile, fresher, Hesperidic citrus notes, over time, they are likely to fade away or disappear completely. So based on that, I would say that longevity is more likely to be compromised with much fresher fragrances or ones with really fresh top notes. Sometimes a fragrance that's really old can just be its mid or even just its base notes. But this, to me, smells exactly the same as the day I bought it. The problem with comparing this to the current version on the shelves, who knows if it's exactly the same formulation, and who knows if this has matured slightly, macerated a bit in the bottle. So as far as I know, it's not gone bad, and none of the fragrances that I have in my collection have gone bad. They're kept out of humidity, out of direct sunlight in this room, so I have looked after them in the right way, and as far as I know, they're all good. Final question from Bilinho0727. Did you try Guerlain L'Homme Ideal L'Intense? No, I haven't tried it actually, so I can't comment. You're asking what I think about the fragrance, yeah, I can't comment, but the whole Ideal line from Guerlain is fantastic, so I'm sure that it smells good. But you know what, next time I'm in store and I see that, I'm going to give it a sniff. Are you going to try Atkinson's fragrances? Yeah, there's some that I really enjoy. I don't own any, but I've smelled some great ones over the years. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, great house. I would love to smell more of them, and I'd love to own a few more of them. What was that one I loved? Oud Save the King, I think. That was one that really stood out to me. But yeah, great brand. All right, that's it for this week. Listen, I know I led with the whole compliments thing on this, and this is a weekly roundup, but seriously, the fragrances I've mentioned in this video, I think they're all compliment getters. Superman, Batman, Dignified, Fanny Flames X, which I mentioned, got me a comment. Certainly the new Reverie Haze from Electimuss. So treat this as a video about some absolute banger compliment getting fragrances. All right, that's it for this one. If you liked this video, please give it a like. Let me know you want me to keep doing these weekly roundup videos to just bring you into my world of fragrance for a week. I'm enjoying sharing it with you. Subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.